everyone. Welcome to Islamabad Policy Research Institute. Before we proceed with the event, I request everyone to kindly switch their phones on silent so that the lecturer and audience they are not disturbed. We will first begin with the recitation of the Holy Quran.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم
In the name of Allah, the entirely merciful, the especially merciful.
أولم ير الذين كفروا أن السماوات والأرض كانتا رتقا ففتقناهما وجعلنا من الماء كل شيء حي أفلا يؤمنون.
Have those who disbelieved not considered that the heavens and the earth were a joint entity, and we separated them and made from water every living thing? Then will they not believe?
Jazakallah. Now I would like to invite Brigadier Dr. Wali Rashid, Director Research and Acting President IPRI, to the stage for his opening remarks.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Dr. Basit, distinguished audience, a very warm welcome on this very important subject that is consuming the imagination of all and sundry these days. On a personal plane, I do not lay claim to either intelligence nor artificiality. And if you combine these words, artificial intelligence to me is a new Russell's paradox. And if you go and Google Russell's paradox, you can come to know that it's like putting socks on an octopus, a dilemma that a problem that is resolved creates another problem, and both have to be combined to get to another problem. So in a complete continuum, this age is about continuum. Some people define this age with revolutions. Some say it is a vacuum. Some say it is entropy. Some say it's a complete nihilism, that is rejection of everything. And AI is the front and center of all these notional and philosophical concepts. There's a very important debate going on in academic circles in America, and Fareed Zakaria has chipped his bit with a very interesting book, The Age of Revolutions. So the crux of that book is that there are mind-boggling changes taking place, and those changes begin with the political change, then the organizational change, then the technological change, and he traces the historical flow of those changes to the only important country in Europe, Netherlands, where Protestant Revolution and after that rejection of monarchy and technological revolution led to a complete new way of thinking. So his main argument is that since changes are so rampant, it is only natural for the human mind to get defensive, and there is a hunker down mentality in the onslaught of information, change, the established truths, established notions of tribalism, communalism, class, culture. Those are being threatened by this proliferation of change. And when that happens, the mankind or the human mind, it goes back to a defensive tribalism. He defines this term as tribalism. So this kind of tribalism is evident that defies science, logic. For example, he says that all logic point towards supporting someone who has performed well in a political capacity. Like for instance, Obama's time, the numbers were good, but electorate was voting the otherwise. Now, Biden has, if you go by pure numbers, the economy is doing well, but people are supporting Trump. Why is it happening? Viktor Orban in Hungary, Modi's population in India. This is a recidivism into tribalism, which is a reaction of human mind to the mind-boggling changes presented by technology, which threatens to impact sociology and culture. AI is a big thing, and it is making such mind-boggling advances that mankind is, quite apprehensive of what lies in store. The moment of amoeba, unicellular organism, 1 billion years ago to the dinosaurs, it spanned a period of 1 billion years. They say that artificial intelligence would cover the same journey from now onwards in just 10 years. So what would be the implications, and what would happen once the machines start writing their own software, and the software starts defining the way we act and live? And what happens if those AI-driven machines start taking their own decisions? And especially in the realm of warfare, autonomous weapon systems, if they achieve a sentient life of their own. If being sentient is another important concept that is being debated, but in case of warfare, that might appear catastrophic, because a machine might say that I should attack with the nuclear or not. So where would the human beings be when these machines define your life, shape your life, drive your life? What would be that kill switch? What would be the ethics, and what would be the laws of war? After the 4th Geneva Convention, maybe we need a 5th one, and which should put some kind of a discipline on the ability of AI to act beyond our imagination. AI is also shaping our lives and also bringing new challenges. The jobs are being threatened. They say that 60% of the jobs in future, those would be displaced. And already in India, there is a hum that the graduates of IITs, their placement ratio is just 33%. Why? Because most of them, their skills were not adequately upskilled in line with the AI requirements. The Google CEO, Sundar Pichai, his statement is on record that he is saying that we are not getting adequate AI engineers, and there is a scramble and a competition amongst the big tech to, get hold of maximum AI engineers. So AI engineers are in there's a shortage of AI engineers, which brings to our attention the need to change the skill profile. Now, there was another point that I wanted to share before I hand you over to the worthy speaker, and that was about the AI's capacity to process the information. They say that there would be 3 disciplines which would still hold their own against this onslaught of AI, and those are in the realm of biology, power and energy, because those are some things that essentially human beings have to deal manually also, and with semi-manual and same automotive skills that predate AI. And the third is the professionals who are AI specialists. So these 3 would hold their own in the future that is coming upon us. Now, where we stand, Pakistan as a country, and what we should do is also a point worth pondering. And we can only, take heart from what Yuval Noah Harari says. He says that in the past, power lay with those with the information. And in future, the power would lay with those who have the ability to remove information to get clarity. It's a very deep notion, so I won't like to burden your minds and clear the decks for the worthy speaker to come and illuminate us on a topic about which we'll be hearing a lot in future. So, Dr. Basit, please come and share your perspective. Would you like to introduce?
Yes, sir, please take your seat. Dr. Neil, please, you may also join us on stage. Thank you so much, Brigadier Rashid, for highlighting some key issues that we will be hopefully discussing them today. Before we have Dr. Basit speak, allow me to please share his short bio. He has completed his PhD from the prestigious Cornell University, and he was also previously teaching at Austin University. He's acquainted with institutions like Intel Corporation. He was also previously advisor to the Ministry of Information Technology, Pakistan, and was also the CEO of Universal Service Fund here. He has also been a co-founder and a CEO of Hub AI. Currently, he's the co-founder and CEO of the company 4Loops based in Austin, an AI software services company specializing in architecture, developing, deploying, and managing cutting-edge AI and generative AI solutions for clients across various sectors, including media, telecom, retail, fintech, and healthcare. Along with him, we are joined with Dr. Anil Salman, who will be the discussant for today. He is our Chair Economic Security, backed with an academic and teaching background spanning 3 continents. Some of his affiliations include Nice Sophia Antipolis, France, Tsinghua University, China, Harvard, Cambridge, University of Bern, Switzerland, and many more. He was recently nominated as the chair by the Ministry of Information Technology on the Committee for National Artificial Intelligence Policy for Pakistan. Dr. Basit, we look forward to hearing more from you on today's subject. Please, you may take the podium.
All right. Thank you, IPRI, for having me over. Brigadier Saab, for a very warm welcome. So I jotted down a few points, but I would like to make it still a bit interactive, and will also be touching upon some of the points that you mentioned. In fact, I've already jotted down those, so it will. I'm glad that I can build further upon those. So as Javeria just mentioned, that I have an AI software company. So over the last few months, I've been working on a very powerful sort of a voice chatbot, which could work with near zero latency. The problem with some of the voice bots are that, the latency kills it. They have a lot of processing to do, and sometimes these LLMs, the large language models, which are the basis of AI, are hosted on different parts of the world. So my best software tester is my 6-year-old daughter. So she's very fascinated with gadgets and all, and at an early age I got her to play around with Alexa and Siri. So it's like, okay, Azal, this is your time to test Baba's new bot. So put her on the computer, and she started testing it out. One of the key features of this AI voice bot was that it can connect with any of the databases, internal or external. It can go fetch information from the web, do multiple calls, structure that information, find out a lot more information. So sort of a autonomous AI agent-based voice bot system. And then to leverage it to make it better, what we did was that we worked on certain specialized chips which cut down the latency to almost near zero. So it's like a human talking to a human, right? So, and I've named it Stella. So Azul started playing with Stella, and she could ask questions about the cartoons that she likes and different characters, what they are. There's this pony thing on YouTube that she loves about. So she's asking, she was fascinated by that thing. And she comes to me, and we were just sitting on a table, and she's like, Baba, so does Stella like me? I was like, why do you ask this thing? I was like, she's been talking to me, and she's very friendly, and how does she look like? And what is Stella, right? Who is Stella, right? Can I see her? So, in her mind, she was talking to another person. So I was like, Azul, Stella is an AI. And she's like, what is an AI? And suddenly I got stumped by that question. Like, what really is an AI? In fact, I would like to ask people here, not to put anyone on the spot, like, what do you think is an AI? Can I have an answer? Just any answer? Okay. Anyone, any other answer? We'll just take a crack at it. Doesn't have to be a perfect answer. Okay, reduces the human effort, right? So I had similar ideas that, it is something, a breakthrough technology which is going to augment humans to do better, get better at it. And this is something that I didn't have an answer to that. So I didn't give her a clear answer. So I came across the talk of Mustafa Suleyman, who was the co-founder of DeepMind, the company that came up with those AI models that were the first to beat humans at chess. That was like a breakthrough technology. Then DeepMind was acquired by Google later on, and now recently Mustafa has been hired as the CEO of Microsoft AI. So in his TED Talk, he narrates a similar story. In fact, his interaction was with a 6-year-old nephew of his, and who asked him the same question, that what is an AI? And he said, like, he got stumped as well. And what Mustafa explained was, to me, a perfect answer, that AI is a new digital species. Like, if we think about it, like an infinitely powerful new digital species, which has amassed trillions and trillions of words and has infinite memory capacity and a compute capacity to do crazy things. It understands you. It would get to understand you even better. Bagheera Saab mentioned that, in future we might have the AI make decisions which might be very critical, mission critical decisions, deciding about war, deciding about any other thing. Would it have empathy? Like, some scientists believe that it will also have empathy as well as we get closer and closer to there. It will also have safety guardrails built into it. And as we go back in time, the evolutionary cycle that we've seen on this planet, from the single cell microorganisms that were to billions of years of evolution, leading to eventually to us, to the human beings, I see, in my opinion, I see AI as an offshoot of humans, an infinitely powerful offshoot which is going to transform the world. And the way I look at it is, like, a lot of times these days people talk about AI as something, a new wave of technological disruption that is coming. Let me tell you that it is not a wave. It is a tsunami that is coming our way. And if we are not prepared for it, so we have two challenges. Like, one, as humans, as the species that we are, right? Beyond the national boundaries and all. And then as the citizens of this country that we love, are we ready for it? I think we are not even ready as humans, let alone to speak as Pakistanis. So in this talk, what I'm going to go over it is kind of build the case for what AI is and why it is going to change the world, how the future is going to look like, and how can we play a part in it as a nation state. So just to give you an idea of the power of this AI, right? So, and this is another thing taken from Mustafa Suleyman's talk. I absolutely love that talk, and it's worth listening to. He says that if we put a human to read every single day of their life, 24 hours a day, for the entire lifetime, they would consume 8 billion words in their lifetime, in their entirety. Some of these powerful models that we have are trained on 8 trillion words in a short span of a month, and it's only going to get better. While the humans have a great capacity of preserving things in mind, but I think it's still hard to preserve 8 billion words in your memory all the time. But these AI models, they have this supportive memory that they can preserve all that information. And then they can put everything into action. So that's the sort of powerful things that we're talking about. So in order to get a perspective of how the future is going to look like 30 years from now, I always like to take people 30 years back in the past, right? Because see, when you predict about the future, everybody kind of believes that, oh, maybe that's not possible, or you're saying crazy things, how's artificial general intelligence going to be there? But let's go back 30 years in time and see how our lives were. I think pretty much 25 to 30 years back, I think some of you are very young, but others can definitely relate to it. So 30 years back, let's see how the world looked like. There were no mobile phones, or hardly any. And if there were, those like big devices that people used to carry. In Pakistan, we had that Paktel thing. There was, I remember my father had that, and there was one person just with the responsibility of carrying this like military style, device all along, and it was just fascinating. I remember we were visiting our village in Bahawal Nagar, and everybody there was fascinated. What is this thing? The people could now talk wirelessly on that thing. The favorite apps that we use today, the Facebooks, the LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter, Uber, Spotify, YouTube, none of them existed. By the way, Netflix was there, but guess what? They were not streaming videos. They used to mail videos. The CDs were mailed to their homes. That was the world we were living in. Amazon only sold books, nothing else. And Google founders were willing to sell their company for $1 million. They got an offer for $500,000. In fact, one guy, I don't know how he must be feeling now, they offered him that buy our company for $1 million. He refused them. That was the world we live in. And today, now let's fast forward to the world today. On average, there's studies out there which tell us that humans consume at least 5 to 6 hours of their time on their mobile phones. There are 8 billion mobile phone subscriptions in the world. 8 billion. There are billions of gadgets out there. 30 years ago, smartphone did not exist. And now, we can't live without smartphone. I mean, do you not feel anxiety when your battery dies? And you're like, oh my God, my life is ending. We wake up, the first thing, which is a really unhealthy thing to do, and it's a topic for another day, is like, the first thing we jump on to see is a mobile phone and nothing else. Bad habit, but that's what we do, right? So I believe the best learning platform in the world is YouTube. What I have learned from YouTube is just fascinating, and I think so many people around the world are having this story. So this new, from 30 years from now to here, this is the world that we live in. Amazon is selling just about anything in the world, and we have these companies that I just mentioned, which did not exist. Some of them are trillion-dollar companies. They've changed the world. So now let's go 30 years from here to the future. You've seen like how things have been. And the point that I'm trying to make is from the single cell microorganisms that were there to what humans became, to what the revolution happened, the change has always been there. Almost 70,000 years ago, when the cognitive mutation happened and humans started communicating with each other, we were mostly hunter-gatherers, and he mentioned my favorite author, Harari, goes through in his book, Sapiens, goes about that thing. And then suddenly a big change happened only 10,000 years ago, the agriculture revolution. That is when humans started putting themselves together as communities, right? Finally, they were not just being the hunters or just living in small groups and all, and now communities started forming. But that community building, it took 10,000 years for everything to spread out and all, right? So the speed of change was there, but it was much slower. Humans started using tools, from stakes to other things to construct and build things, but it was a slow change. And then electricity happened. It was a big leap. And suddenly, all new industries opened up, right? There was an industrial revolution. Humans were now making assembly lines. Industries were coming up, and life became better, from the wheel carts to the cars and everything. But all this still took like 100 years. And then we had the internet revolution in the early 90s and mid-90s and the 2000s. And that, what the journey I've shared with you, the last 30 years, it kind of changed everything. Like really fast, really quick. The world that the 30 years from now, the kids who are growing up, and if you tell them about the world that at least I grew up in, they will be like, Baba, this did not exist. You didn't have a phone, you didn't have a gadget, you didn't have Stella or Alexa and all. It's crazy. So the only thing that's changed is the speed of change has changed, and it's going to get faster. And as Brigadier Saab said, maybe we'll travel that distance in 10 years, the AI distance, maybe less. So how is the world going to look like? So Vinod Khosla, who is one of the leading venture capitalists in the US, was the founder of Sun Microsystems, has been one of the early investors in Facebook, in OpenAI and all. So he depicts the world of the future in some of the predictions. He's made 12 bold predictions, but some of them which really resonated with me. So he says in the first prediction is in 30 years from now or 25 years from now, expertise will be near free. What does that mean? Every person will have a personalized AI doctor. Every person will have a personalized AI tutor. Like, the world is going to be very, very different. Like, you will have a doctor that you can reach out to, or in fact, that doctor might be listening to your pulse or your other things within your body, your smartwatches and all, and could tell you what you might be facing and could be prescribing you medication. And it will be FDA approved. And in fact, Khosla believes that it's going to happen within the next 5 years, that FDA is going to approve an AI doctor. Do we need doctors in the future? That's the first question that comes to your mind. What will happen to the teachers? Then it says we will have 1 billion plus humanoids, robots, or bipedal gadgets that will be out there to do our lazy work, the work that we don't feel like, picking up things, cleaning up things, doing our tasks, the physical tasks, right? For now, until now, we've seen AI to be a crazy tool which can do something in the information age. But with the increasing amount of work that's been happening, the robotic companies that are out there, and the way the LLMs have made these models so powerful, and these multi-model models which can evaluate, see things, and make decisions, 1 billion plus humanoids, to me, that is not a surprise, because if in 30 years we could have 1 billion smartphones from having no smartphones, having these humanoids is very much a possibility. So what happens to the third world countries who prime themselves on having cheap labor, whose business models or the future strategies are built on the fact that, we provide cheap labor? It's a question mark. I don't think that's a wise strategy to have. The disparity between the developed nation and the developing nations will be far greater, because a lot of this work that they have outsourced to this part of the world will go back to them, because now robots would start doing all those things. Cancer will be cured. People will not die of cancer anymore. Imagine 30 or 50 years ago, TB used to be the sort of a thing that people used to be scared about. And now, does anyone worry about TB? Not many. I mean, still people do, but cancer will be cured. There will be clean energy. The fusion research that's happening, Bill Gates is one of the principal investors in one company doing that thing. So we will have abundance energy, abundance of everything. And as Brigadier Sab said, I would take your figure of 60% and maybe add another 20% to that. 80% of today's jobs will be diminished, finished, gone. Now, there are flip sides to it, right? It's a very, very scary thing when you say that 80% of the jobs that add value today, or what we all are training for or delivering or we have aspirations for, will they cease to exist, and what will we do? But this is not the first time that has happened, by the way. If you go back, and let's say some of the startling careers of today are digital marketing. Instagram influencers are the huge thing these days. People are making a lot of money and have had a lot of influence. The YouTubers, the vloggers, none of those things existed before, right? So there would always be new jobs that will be created. But the challenge that I face now is that while with the digital revolution and all, the new jobs that were created, the difference between the old jobs going and the new jobs that created was not much. And in fact, there were always more opportunities in the new field. But now with this powerful AI, I believe there will be a big negative here. There will be more jobs which will be destroyed. than the new jobs that will be created. So this is the world. Oh, by the way, this is my favorite were two things that I missed out here is that we will have 1 billion plus programmers. 1 billion plus programmers, but those are not humans. Like mentioned earlier by Bagesa, these will be your machines. For example, I can code to save my life. I don't think many people can claim that as well. But now, maybe that skill set or the added superpower that I have is not a superpower anymore, because everybody in this room will have that thing and they will be able to converse with those programmers in their own language, be it in any language, be it in Urdu, be it in Punjabi, be it in Spanish or anything. And those LLM models, those AI models will understand your language and then communicate with this AI agent, which is a programmer. It would say, like, let's say you say, like, hey, here's my website. I want to change it, splash a few things here, splash a few things here, change it. I want to connect it to my DB, or I want to add another database table. Boom. It will go and do it for you. You will have to understand how to communicate with them. So that is the skill set that you will have to acquire. But the powerful agents would be there. And then my favorite part is that humans will no longer be restricted to Earth. We will be an interplanetary civilization. We will have a base on the moon, possibly on Mars, and maybe we'll discover other parts of the universe. I mean, our life is not going to end on Earth. So this is how crazy it might sound, but this is the future that's going to happen. And now coming back to all this scenario and the tsunami, the jobs being going away, and the disparity becoming greater for the developed and the developing nation, what are we doing? Are we ready for it? I don't think we are ready for it. So I think the best thing that we can learn is that, is this something that we can learn from the past and kind of emulate to make a difference in this AI world? So we have to have that mission, like kind of set a mission approach that like we have to achieve it. Like the Americans did it when they decided after the Sputnik thing that they decided that they're going to go on the moon before the Russians. They decided, like JFK and all and NASA, they decided that we are going to be the world leaders, we are to going there. And everything, when you read history books, watch the movies, there is this, mission to get to that target. And they're like, no matter what comes our way, no matter how much money it takes, we're going to get there. Have we done something like this as a nation? Guess what we have? We decided to be a nuclear nation against all odds. We do, a lot of bad things come out of Pakistan. But like, there was one time that we decided as a nation, be it the political leadership, the military leadership, the nation, everybody was aligned. Now we're going to be a nuclear nation. And we are probably the 6th or the 7th nuclear state in the world. Whether it required us getting some secrets from Netherlands or whatever it took, we decided we are going to be a nuclear state. And guess what? We became a nuclear state, right? So I think what's required now is not these half-baked sort of approaches that where you set up an AI research center inaugurated by the president in one center, and then you set up few other things. These half-baked things are not going to work. And then this approach of setting up hundreds of universities all over Pakistan in the remote parts where there's no research or no valuable research going on, with the PhDs that are being produced are protesting outside Bani Gala or the Prime Minister's house that we don't have jobs. I mean, why are you producing PhDs which cannot find jobs? That means you're not even doing you're doing a disservice to them. So guess what? So first of all, the mission critical approach that we have to set here is that we are going to make a mark on this AI roadmap, which is going to be a $2 trillion producing GDP market with a $2 trillion market by 2030, and perhaps hundreds of trillions of dollars by 2040 and 50. We have to make a share out of that. And for that, we have to completely revamp and start from revamping our university structures. So what do I need? So here are a few suggestions. Because see, with the Policy Research Institute, I think it's the best platform for sharing and exchanging ideas. What I propose, based on my little understanding, is that we need to set up a sort of a fund, a big fund, $1 billion fund on a yearly basis, which is tasked for one thing: the top quality research into solving the hard sciences. For example, I'm saying the cancer will be cured, clean energy will be there, the future technology will be there. Looking at those, solving those problems. Not, and this should be like, with the research labs, that the nuclear project was a closed project. We had to be secretive about it. The only difference between this project and the nuclear project is that I propose that we should have an open approach to this thing, where you set up an organization which should be run by a committee or a board of governors comprising some of the top researchers from this country and also some of the top researchers from the world. Because see, the problem that you're tackling is not just solving Pakistan's problem. Yes, the beneficiary will be mostly the country, the Pakistan, but the humanity will also be the biggest beneficiary of that. Collaborate with the leading AI scientists in the world. Give them as much money as they need for funding their projects. Pick 5 or 6 areas. Maybe pick healthcare, maybe pick energy, because AI is going to find new molecules. AI is going to find new synthetic ways of producing meat. AI is going to find new sources of energy. AI is going to find so many other things that you will be amazed about. And the future of the interplanetary civilization, there will be so many other requirements that will be fueled. Are we just going to be always importing technology? We can't produce a cell phone on our own. Are we going to now start producing or importing these expensive AI technologies? Another great thing has happened in this competition between these big multi-trillion-dollar companies. Some of these companies have started to open source their AI models. The large language model by Meta, Llama 3, was trained for over 4 to 5 months on some, now the model that they haven't yet released is the 400 billion parameters one, but the 70 billion parameter model, that cost of training that model was about $100 million. And guess what? That model is available for free to all of us. I built an application on top of that $100 million model. So imagine this beautiful world of open source has allowed us this thing. We can build on top of that. So the idea here is that change your system, set up this central AI body, which is collaborating with the top 3 or 4 universities in the country. Pick those, like LAMS maybe Habib and all. Get the best AI researchers from the world, right? Maybe some of them will not come full-time. Okay, fine, bring them part-time. Maybe fund some of their research as well, so they start sharing it here. Set up an interdisciplinary learning body here, which is cracking these hard problems. Funding should not be an issue. I mean, we are a country of GDP of $370 billion. Like, come on, spend $1 billion on your future. This $1 billion a year will go back and pay you back the most that you cannot imagine. You will be part of that AI race. And this whole set of like opening 100 universities here and getting, finish with that business. What I've explained to you is that the simple task that we all do will be replaced. So there's no point having these hundreds of universities. Maybe colleges are enough, they're affiliated with these universities. Only have 7, 8, 10 quality universities with the best of research labs in the world. Connect them. There should be seminars happening, flying in Andrew Yang, flying in the biggest engineers out there, collaborating, showing the world that you mean business. And once you do that thing, you'll see the rewards in 5 to 10 years. So this is what I propose, because if we don't go down that route, we will just be the consumers of that technology. And as we have seen in this digital age, just being a consumer is only going to hurt your import bill, and we won't be able to do anything. Thank you very much. No, I totally agree. So that's why I said like the nation has to be, so for example, for the nuclear program, we decided, we have to do this thing. In between that whole period, right, there were many governments that took over. There was a martial law that happened. There was political governments that came and went, but nobody compromised on that, right? I feel that there will be problems, right? Political disagreements and all. What I believe is that we have to decide as a nation. We keep talking about the Charter of Economy. That's never going to happen because economic policies are very different. But what I am trying to propose here is that it's something as critical as having that nuclear program at that age that was then. Now it's maybe more. And we need to decide, like, here is a policy and this is going to be untouched. And any affairs that are related to that, be it including the internet closure, I'm absolutely against that thing. And it's horrendous that when we do that, it's very short-sighted test, right? We can live with that short-sighted approach and be like, okay, we control this opposition, we control this opposition. We're only hurting ourselves because in 10 or 20, 30 years, the image that I've created, nobody's going to care about us. I just want us to care about us. And like Brigadesh have also said, there is a shortage of AI engineers. I'll share a personal story. I landed my first big enterprise AI project last week. And we beat Tata Consulting Services to that thing. And how? The way it happened was that this company, Johnson & Johnson, Fortune 50 company, that's my big enterprise project. They've been looking for a resource with a certain requisite talent pool, and they couldn't find it. Took them a month, went through all those things. Not boasting, but the point is there is actually a shortage of AI engineers, right? And are our universities producing those? No. Even those who are coming out of them, for example, I'm training them, there's a big gap, right? All we have done is that degrees. That doesn't work, right? Our mindset has to change that tomorrow, the world of tomorrow is about quality, not about quantity. That's what I believe. Sure. Absolutely, no. That's a first. Like, unless we realize that this is the problem that we have, nothing will happen. So, and it's a big ask. Like, if you were to ask me, do we feel that our current, we have the capacity to change it? It looks unlikely. But our goal as advocates of change, right, should be to keep planting the seeds, right? That's what we are trying to do.
Thank you so much, Dr. Basit, for setting the ground for the conversation and more interactive session to happen. But before that, I would like Dr. Neil to give his comments on the talk and perhaps give us some insights into what's going on with Pakistan's National Artificial Intelligence Policy. Dr. Neil, you may take the stage.
Thank you, Javeria. And Dr. Basit, बहुत शुक्रिया. Very interesting discussion over AI. And at times I feel AI is just, is more, at the moment, it's just like a gold rush. Everyone is running towards it, and more of a Chamberlain effect that if this country is doing it, I also need to do it. But we need to realize that what are, in Pakistan, when I'm looking at the landscape, what is our capacity and capability, whether we are ready to embrace that change or not. Yes, there are lots of benefits, lots of prospects for Pakistan to move from $350 billion economy to $1 trillion economy, but are we ready for that or not? But I'll look AI from a different perspective, maybe from a policy perspective, that whether it works or it does not work. At the moment, how we look AI, it feels as if we have, Nauzbillah, we have thought of it as a God that it is going to solve every problem. But yes, where it is bringing agility, it is also bringing a lot of complexity. It has also made us more vulnerable. It has also made us much weaker in terms of thinking that when my 6-year-old daughter, and she would say, Dad, I think I can ask ChatGPT to do the assignment. When the researchers, now we face a challenge when the research is being done, and I say 70% of the text is being written by the machine. And now even the research organizations have started going out for the new rules that whether we should accept that whether this text is written by the machine, or we should start looking at the quality of the commands, as you mentioned, that it will not be that we would have we would be having a customized AI doctor and every AI engineer, AI professor, but then our quality or our assessment would be done on the quality of the command that I am giving to my AI agent. Now, the biggest challenge from the governance perspective is that UAE, we have seen the first world's AI minister, Omar Sultan, and what he talks about that there are 65 countries which are already ready for the AI, 34 have already their AI policy, and yes, it's a very good optimistic point that Pakistan has crafted its first draft policy on AI, and now we are, by the end of May, we are ready for the launch of our formal national AI policy. But we have a lot of policies. What is the major challenge is that what is the vision behind this AI policy? Why are we having an AI policy? Like if you look at India's AI policy, the core objective is that how to create an ecosystem for the startups. If we look at US, now the focus of the AI policy is basically the defense and cybersecurity. But when we are crafting our AI policy, and it is an open question, thought that I think we need to understand that why are we making our AI policy? Is it the governance that we want to improve? Is it the health system? Is it the cybersecurity? What is our objective? Why do we really need an AI policy? Or again, it is just a rat race that everyone is talking about AI policy, so we need to have an AI policy without understanding that for what reason we need it. So I think it's good that we are moving towards that, but that clarity is necessary that why do we need that AI policy? For me, AI is just like an Aladdin's lamp. You make a digital wish and it just fulfills that wish. But are all wishes legitimate? Are all wishes good? That is the question. And I think most of the concurrent discussion that is happening now is on the ethical dimensions of the policy. It's not really the artificial, it's the artificial intelligence, that whether it really understands the humans or what commands that humans are giving, is it really making the decisions? Because one thing, being an economist, I would say that what we have given is that we are giving our power of agency to a neural network who will decide my fate, and I believe in it. And sometimes these decisions are so quickly to believe that outcome might be disastrous. Even they also give the disclosures that whatever answer you are getting from these AI tools, they may be incorrect. Whatever information you feed them, they might not be the right one. Yes, we are bringing it into our justice system, in our health system, but what if the diagnosis is wrong? What if the outcome may be disastrous because you trusted that machine so well? So in this form, I think the power of decision making, we are voluntarily giving it to the machine, and the machine is deciding on us that whether she is good for marrying me or not. That such kind of decisions, and I think one has to be careful on that. This AI is definitely going to change the complete landscape in the next 30 years as the timelines that you define, but it is going to give you a very new form of competition. What that competition is going to be, how that competition looks like. Yes, there might be collaboration, but competition will be much more stronger, where the beauty is that now you are not a developing, but you are known for the product that you are producing and the kind of technology you have. So is Pakistan ready for that kind of competition or not? And the last point I want to make, that yes, it's really good, but I think humans need to understand that not everything can be done by AI. And the kind of narrative that we feel we are developing is that the ultimate answer or any answer to any problem is or can be solved by Siri, or it can be solved by maybe Stella, but I still have my apprehensions on it. Thank you.
I think we just saw a very interesting contrast that we continue to see in global debate as well, the AI doom versus the AI boom. So now I open the floor to audience questions. Please introduce yourself and make sure the questions are crisp and put your phones on silent. Thank you. Mike, please.
Thank you, sir, for a very interesting talk. My name is Tanzila Khalil, and I'm a research fellow here at IPRI. So my question is regarding the dual-use application of this technology. Since it is hard to distinguish between the civil and military application, I want your comments on how do you see the integration of AI in security and military domain? Do you see that the state relationship will improve or will become more complex given the long history of hostility, conflicts, and war? For instance, 2 years ago, an Indian missile was misfired in Pakistan. So just imagine that scenario in an AI-enabled environment where the states have integrated AI into their weaponry. So your comments on that, please. Thank you.
Okay, so I think one thing that we have to understand is that there is going to be this crazy competition for global supremacy between the superpowers. Already that's taking place, but I believe that more of that would be taking place on the forefront of the technology or AI or cyber security than on the actual ground. And even if it is on the ground, it will be through proxy wars and not direct head-on wars. Because see, what I believe is that the stakes are too high for these superpowers, right? So I was listening to this discussion between, again, naming this person, Vinod Khosla, and a few others, that right now the biggest war that's happening is who is going to take the AI flagship, and to the Americans are putting in so much money into this thing now. They've opened up to that. The China has had a great start, and some of the AI that's coming out of there is mind-boggling. I don't know if, and it's a book that I recommend everyone to read, is The AI Wars by Kai-Fu Lee. He's somebody who was a trained AI scientist, set up companies in the US, and then went back to China. And he writes about like how China has come to the forefront, right? And the discussion here is that it's not just about, and I'll get back to your exact question about the security and all, but we have to understand the context here, right? So here it's going to be a political battle too, right? Which political system is going to actually prevail? The Chinese sort of a model, like the one party sort of a model, or the Western democratic, the so-called democratic system that they claim? The Westerns, if you talk to them, they still claim about standing for the human rights. We've seen what they've done with the human rights and what's happening in Gaza and all, right? So the world is very divided. It's a tough one where I say that how it would enable securities and stuff. But one thing that we can for sure see is that there will be less human casualties. Why do I say that thing? Because we're going to have very precision targeted weaponry that will be built into the system. At the forefront of the battlegrounds, we will see more humanoids rather than as the soldiers. Yes, those humanoids will be accompanying certain soldiers, but those soldiers will also be augmented with such crazy AI or technology or AR that's going to be protecting them and all. And as I say, like, within next 10 years, the human attention is going to turn a little bit away from Earth as well. As we become the spacefaring civilization, there is a lot out there. The universe is so gigantic. So a lot of these superpowers, and with the AI powering them, instead of like focusing on these little conflicts here and there, once they start and get a flavor of what's out there, or the kind of things, I think things will change. But the battle will be there. We've already seen how US is suppressing China and how US is now invested in the CHIPS Act because they were worried that the Chinese could get ahead of us, and now they're moving all the foundries out of that to the US. And that's also a question for us, right? What if in a future world, all this technology on which AI is built upon is just restricted to a few countries? What would we do? So these are challenging things. It's hard to answer that part.
Dr. Neil, do you have comments on this, or we can? Okay.
And I'd also like to keep it short.
Sir, thank you so much for this wonderful brief. I am Shah Mohammed from Center for Aerospace and Security Studies. I have two questions, one from Dr. Anil Sulman and the other from our distinguished guest speaker here. So first is that why do we analyze AI in isolation? Why don't we look at the ideological, political, and psychosocial side of it? For example, I would like to take your attention to an AI project launched by Australian National University. It is called the Atrocity Forecasting Project. It employs predictive modeling, machine learning, to predict the genocide that is going to happen in the world in the coming 2-3 years. So the last report that they published, the genocides from 2022 to 2024, the report was published in 2021. So in the top 10 countries that are vulnerable to genocide, there is no mention of Palestine. And Pakistan is at the top 3 countries. So what is the bias, the ideological side that is training the algorithms, the people that are feeding the data? I would like you to say a few words on it. And secondly, there are two AI systems. One is from World Food Program. It is called Hunger Map Live. So it basically it does the real-time mapping of food insecurity across the world, and also does the prediction of the countries that are going to be vulnerable to food insecurity, and it provides the data to the policymakers to be alert and to take steps in advance to avert those crises. And second is Google's Flood Hub program. It predicts the floods and natural disasters that are going to happen a few weeks ahead. So why can't we emulate these projects here in Pakistan, considering the threats that we are facing? Why can't we make them the part of our own artificial intelligence policy? Thank you so much.
Should I go first? I go. Thank you. So I'll just also briefly take, want to add a line about the first question that you said, and I think he'll further add on to that thing. I think with the first thing that I learned in AI is that garbage in, garbage out, right? It is, AI is as good as what you teach it, train it on. If you built a model, and already there's so much research going on, the biases are built in there. In fact, the Google Gemini launch had terrible things that come out. So it's as good as the training model that you do, and he'll further add on to that thing. Now, coming to why we can't do this thing, we can do everything. The point here is that doing these models, in fact, the reason I was suggesting this holistic AI approach, cracking the hard science problems or the climate problems, is that you need a body which is doing cutting edge AI work, right? You need the best researchers. You can't expect universities with no funding, no GPUs to run, no data centers to support. You're talking about tens of millions of dollars of investments that goes in, right? And let's say, I'm saying I'm going to put the best mind of Pakistan to do this thing, and I'm going to pay him 50,000 rupees a month. I mean, that's not going to work. You have to make them the most rewarding jobs that, the best engineers, even from abroad, want to come back and work here, right? And they say, okay, fine, and you have a data center set up for there that, for example, he wants to, for example, the former foreign minister in the last regime, I think he made a presentation, Bilawal made a presentation to UN that Pakistan has lost $16 billion or something like that. Yeah, the floods, $40 billion, right? So they were raising $40 billion for that thing. I mean, if only, all I am proposing is a much smaller sum of money for this AI research, which will cover the climate part, to cover the healthcare part and others, because we have to put our best brains, like where they know, and not so, we have to fund the universities with cutting edge, provide them with the data centers, they can compute anything. There should be GPUs out there. We have to fund their research so they can take this data from the flooding data that we have, the satellite imagery, start predicting all those things. And guess what? Once these PhD students graduate, right? What if they don't have any job opportunity there? So there should be a thing like Sandia Labs and all, a lab out there which is just working on those things. And that technology that they're working on, right? They should be allowed to even commercialize it in the future, right? That's what I'm trying to propose here, that you give them a security. For example, if I'm a grad student here, and I know if I go to LUMS, my PhD is fully funded, I am going to make certain money, a stipend on top of that. I can get married and support my family. And even when I graduate from here, let's say there's no company working on flood prediction, I'm still going to get a very good job at Pakistan AI labs, okay, working on the cutting edge technology, I'll focus all my energy on that. And all these models are doable then. So that's what we need to change. That's why the whole approach has to be there. Right now, there's no support for them. Everybody who gets there, they're like, okay, fine, I'm going to get an opportunity to go to Germany, the US, they all fly there. And by the way, they are the ones who are making these AI models too. Like a lot of my friends are now at VP position at Google, Amazon, and I see so many Pakistanis out there, so many Indians out there. Give them the opportunities. They would love to be in this country.
Very good observation. Lekin, the model that ANU was using, that is an old one. Now you're talking about the predictive analytics, that okay, this is going to happen, and predictions do get wrong, and I very much concur with Dr. Basit. GIGO, garbage in, garbage out. But now they believe that even if you take garbage in, gold should come out. And wahan se fir hum aa jate hain, not the predictive, but we talk about the prescriptive diagnostics, prescriptive analytics, how to make that happen. If you, like the world is like a chessboard, the AI will tell you that if you make these moves, this is the outcome that you really want. So now we have moved forward from the predictive, now we are talking about the prescriptive analytics. But you see that the real world is always different. No one knew about Gaza. No one knew about 9/11. आप चाहे कितने predictive models लगा लें, it would never happen. हाँ, but in prescriptive, when I plan that, okay, I need the downfall, I need the particular event to happen, then I will create that kind of ecosystems. I will create that kind of just conditions to make those things happen. So you're doing it intentionally and consciously. How you're doing it, because that particular model has shared the insights कि जी आप इस तरीके से कर सकते हैं. So predictive is old now. Prescriptive works out, and I think अगर if you look at the economic situation, so that is very much what is happening at the global landscape कि आपकी किस तरीके से economies ups and downs, gold की prices आपकी कैसे हो जाती हैं. They are not the unpredictable events. कोई आपके black swans नहीं होते, आपके rhinos ही होते हैं आपकी economy में.
We will take the last two questions. We have one at the back, and okay, we'll come back to you.
Assalamu alaikum, sir. Thanks to give me opportunities. Myself, Abid Hassan from IIU, International Islamic University, in the field of IR. Sir, my question is that under the situation of rivalry between the superpowers such as China and America, as you know, nowadays the war is not a armed conflict. It is a war between the competition among the state under the condition of technological war. So, sir, in which situation, what will the opportunity and challenges for Pakistan? How we manage in good situation and enhance our capability in the field of technology?
I think Pakistan is in a unique position. I mean, one of the countries neighboring China, we have such great relationship with China, and China being out there and doing such advances out there. So I think there's a great opportunity for us to leverage our connectivity with the Chinese. We haven't really done that on the AI upfront. What's really happening is that, focus on infrastructure. Like, let them set coal power plants, let them set certain, build the roads and all. I think that collaboration has to move towards more like the technological things. We see a lot of students going to China and all, but I think there has to be more sort of, like Dr. Anil said, the policy that we are formulating. What is that policy for? I think everybody has to sit together and figure out that what do we really want out of that, and it has to be mission driven in certain ways what we want to achieve, and that is where we can cover the relationships and all, and China being our neighbor will add a lot of value. But at the same time, I think it's very clear to me by also interacting with the Pakistani establishment and all, that our relationship with the US cannot also be discounted, right? We tried that. We've tried it a few times for a couple of years, only to come back and realize that no, we need the US. And it's also just not because of that, because the Saudis and the UAEs of the world, US operates through them as well. So in my sense that instead of being in anyone's camp, we should try to be in everyone's camp here and build on what we need, because see, we are not in a position to kind of take a hard line anyway, right? We are dependent on them. So it's very hard for you to take a position when you're dependent on others, and carve out a way, be part of this AI gold rush or AI fast, whatever it is going to add a lot of value. With its challenges out there, the value creation is going to be there. The GDP growth is going to be there. We should have our share out of that.
We will take the last question. The young lady at the back had raised her hand earlier, so please.
Assalamu alaikum. This is Ruqayya Zainab from National Defense University. I'm a student of strategic studies, and you stated basically that we have to invest a lot of $1 billion regarding this AI kind of policy. So my question is regarding that constraint policy that we will adopt after that. That was like the data from China, Pakistan, India, World Bank data that China has invested about $17,963.2 billion in 2022, where Pakistan's GDP growth is $374.7 billion. Comparatively, you can say how that country would be able to manage that particular locality or the legislative kind of policy regarding with which it is standing at the poverty line. And my second question is that from which source that AI is getting information. It is the human who has just generated that particular logarithm, and you can say after the particular time span, wherever the record of events is passed, that has even just passed and just led it towards the future, it can be authorized by the single person who can be your enemy, as you can talk about the security paradigm of the country in the contemporary time period.
So, I mean, in terms of the money, the investment that has gone into it, right? I mean, there is no ceiling, right? It could be any value. What I was proposing was a bare minimum that we need to start, and you can't target everything. I mean, there's the infinite possibilities out there, and that would require infinite resources. All I'm saying is pick a few that matter the most to us. Let's say, we want to target healthcare or the flooding or whatever it is, right? And focus on that. But at least make a breeding ground of those AI engineers or those AI researchers, which are going to, those 1,000, or let's say Pakistan is successfully able to produce the 5,000 top researchers, scientists, and the AI engineers, which are going to make certain contribution. Maybe even I'm saying just make 1% contribution to the world. That 1% is going to be way more than what we can potentially imagine, and that contribution might be even bigger than the current GDP of Pakistan. That's all I'm saying. And in terms of a certain human being able to build systems and all, look, there's so much active research going on there, right? Even at simple, so I made certain applications for enterprise clients, and they're also worried about somebody could hijack or jailbreak the system into doing something. There is an active body of research going in there, and there's a simple thing that we use called guardrails. So using guardrails, you can kind of figure out what input goes into the system and what output goes out. So using a system of guardrails, which is just a very primitive sort of a thing, and there's so much advanced research going on there. It's a great topic for PhDs. If somebody's pursuing a PhD, how do you make those systems safe and secure? A lot of money into this area. So there is, I think humans will get there. The only thing, Dr. Anil has mentioned a lot of concerns and valid concerns. But what I've seen in the past as well is that, humans are so adaptive that we do solve the problems and we find ways out there. And the ability to be more, the word that and I'm going to give an analogy. So somebody was giving an example about autonomous cars, right? Who's going to lead the race for autonomous cars? They say that in China, if an autonomous car kills a person, unfortunately, right? The Chinese are going to say that is the cost of the technological innovation of autonomous cars. In US, if an autonomous car kills a person, that is going to put all the, the media is going to be out there, autonomous car kill, without realizing that, more humans kill other humans by driving on the roads. That's the highest reason for the deaths in the world, I believe. So the point is that somewhere we'll have to make a decision. No AI is going to be perfect, but is any human perfect? Don't we get doctors, even senior doctors making bad diagnosis, we'll have to decide at what point we cut the line. And it's not, I think that's where the social scientists will make a better answer. I mean, I'm all out for technology, so.
Dr. Anil, do you have any last comments before we?
Well,
We have a comment here, though.
well, usually you talked about the allocation, कि जी कितनी allocation हो रही है in the AI and are we going to compete? But usually when we are making the allocations, you look at the size of the economy. Pakistan versus China, obviously China की ज़्यादा allocation होगी. And one thing, even if you start having more allocations, you can't have a straight correlation with the more financial allocation, you are going to be an AI nation. You can't. So there has to be other factors that has to be incorporated when we are looking at the digital space, or when we're looking at that how you become AI. Like if you a case study, like you must study about Estonia, that how it becomes a complete paperless economy. And Islamabad jitna wo mulk hai, but why and how, that is the question to be said. So budget allocations does not represent ke aap ban gaye AI nation. It's not.
Ji sir, please.
Because we have a security issue, primary objective of state is survival. हमारा survival at stake था, हमने nuclear weapons ले लिए. लेकिन हमारा इधर discussion में ना security oriented AI है. So that should not be the goal. हमारा economics की तरफ होना चाहिए उसका. कि हमने इससे पैसे कमाने हैं, and that is also because state आपने शुरू किया था, we are hunter and gatherer. Then we become जब surplus production states were created, and now we have existential threat due to our fiscal and current account deficit that need to be recognized. जैसे सर ने कहा कि mindset बदलना है. mindset ये है कि अभी हमने economics पे focus करना है और अपनी industry लगानी है. दूसरा मेरा ये है कि decision हम APSMA में AI को बहुत use करते हैं, मैं और अफसार तो, लेकिन we don't rely on AI. हमें पता होता है हमारा आंसर किधर लाया कर रहा है. If it is giving us wrong info, हम नहीं यूज़ करते. Ideas हमारे ही होते हैं सर. It is just an assistant. तो ये मेरा सवाल है कि एनर्जी इकोनॉमिक्स में तो बिल्कुल ब्लंडर करता है. तो ये AI is not, it is an assistance rather than कि ये डिसीजन ले रहा है हमारी ज़िंदगी के, ये अप्रोच गलत है, वो नहीं ले रहा, वो मैं ले रहा हूँ. और दूसरा मेरा पॉलिटिक्स पे है कि पॉलिटिक्स जो है ना वो क्रॉसवर्ड्स को लेते हैं. क्रॉसवर्ड्स कहते हैं वॉर इज कंटिन्यूएशन ऑफ पॉलिटिक्स, एंड व्हेन ह्यूमन कनेक्ट टू एनर्जी सिस्टम और एनी सिस्टम इट बिकम्स वेरी कॉम्प्लिकेटेड, और पॉलिटिक्स को एआई नहीं कंट्रोल कर सकता. वो इमोशन और रीजन की बात है. इमोशन वैल्यू पुट करती है, वो एआई वैल्यू प्लेस नहीं कर सकता, आपकी इमोशंस और आइडियाज जनरेट नहीं कर सकता.
Just quickly add a few things. आपने बिल्कुल सही कहा कि हमारा सिक्योरिटी पैराडाइम से थिंकिंग चेंज होनी चाहिए. वी हैव टू, हमारा एग्जिस्टेंशियल क्राइसिस कोई बॉर्डर पे इंडिया तोपे लगाकर नहीं खड़ा हुआ, ना उधर से, ना ही हमें वहाँ से कोई थ्रेट है. टू बी ऑनेस्ट, हमारी थ्रेट है हमारी अपनी इकोनॉमी which is going down. I mean, the economy is shrinking. So why I propose AI as a center of excellence, or the center of not for security purpose, but for revenue generation, because it's going to represent $2 trillion market size by 2032, 2035, and tens or hundreds of trillions of dollars by 2040. You take 1% out of that thing, or 2% out of that thing, your economy, you'll double, triple your GDP, right? So that it has to be for economic value, because we will lose value. We are getting jobs from abroad on call centers. There's a big call center here in this building as well. Those jobs are going to vanish in 5 years. We're getting a lot of other outsourcing options here. They're going to vanish. We have to realize this thing. So things are going to be worse for everyone, like the input, the inflow that we get here. So all I'm proposing is that if we don't get onto this bandwagon, we will suffer. The world is going to move on. The other thing that you mentioned about AI, as we know the answer, see, Satya Nadella of Microsoft, their vision on AI is what you are kind of proposing, right? it's not a replacement, it's a co-pilot. The term that they use, AI, Microsoft has become a co-pilot company, everything co-pilot. You work in Aptema, there is a co-pilot for Aptema. You work in healthcare, there's a co-pilot for that. Some people have a different viewpoint. If I believe it will start with co-pilot and it will become replaced by the complete pilot. So, but right now, AI is infancy. It is nothing. We wait for GPT-5 to come out. Like I was listening to Sam Altman, and he says you'll forget everything. Wait for Sora to come out. I have tested Sora, the new vision model. Guess what? You can create videos, 2-minute videos describing a scene, put them together. You can create movies. In future, personalized movies would be there. You know, when we were growing up, we used to watch and वो cassette player लेते थे market से जाके वो जो भी movie आती थी देख लेते थे तो क्या पसंद थी भी नहीं क्योंकि वही option होता था. Then became this age of Netflix. Now I am watching a different movie. My wife is watching a different movie. Everybody has a personalized thing, right? And we are like so many choices. In future, let's say I want to watch a movie, my AI would know that Basit likes this kind of a movie. Like I love watching space travel movies, right? It's going to create those movies for me. So we are just scratching the surface. So things are going to change rapidly.
One last. Isn't ultimately cannot AI not correct itself, or
it will?
It will. So ultimately, the thing that AI will prescribe the wrong things is just a phase.
Yes. And building onto it, there's already a solution for that thing. So initially what happens is that, you prompt in model, it gives you an answer. But now we have gone a step ahead and we have this multi-agent system. So what does a multi-agent do? So you prompt an LLM, it gives you an answer. It has another LLM which job is to check what it's giving is right or not. For example, this fake news thing, what's going to happen is going to be a great thing that's going to happen in a few years. That every news that you see, there will be maybe hundreds of agents working, checking internet, is this real, does this image, is AI generated, is it verified? A lot of times we get how do I check if a news is fake or false? Simple check. A few years ago there was a news that Mahathir Mohamad passed away. I happened to run a media network in the previously as well, and what happened was that everybody's like break this news. Some channels already break that news as well, but it was a simple thing. You go on Google and see like there's only a random unknown website reporting that story, neither BBC nor CNN, even Malaysian news. It has to be fake. So the agents that we are talking about, are going to have billions of agents. You will have hundreds of agents at your disposal, checking everything for you. So like you said, it will get better. It will keep on getting better.
And ultimately, it will be able to correct itself.
Yes. This is a called thing, the human feedback thing that will build onto the system, and yeah.
Last insight before we wind up.
I think it's a great question, and this is something that I've been thinking lately as well, because I have a very deep sort of interest in this, how the models work. I think it's about, more than any model, it's about the consistency of that model. And the reason I say that, why we don't kind of grow into any model, we've had both models, right? 10 saal of martial law, 3 years of hybrid government, and now control. The point is that we are experimenting all the time. What Chinese did, they decided this is the model, we're going to stick to it, no matter sanctions happen, this happened, 20, 30, 40 years, they're going to stick to it. No model is perfect. They've stuck with the model, everybody, the people know the expectations and all, and it's very clear. I'm not saying right or wrong. I mean, that's a complete different debate with social scientists and all, the human rights and all. The US have stuck with their model, right? The Indians have stuck with the model, right? Point is, you need to stick to that model. Unfortunately, what's happening in Pakistan is that every 3 years or 6 years, and like to take, whenever there is a change of command at your previous institute, the policy changes. In Pakistan, people say the policy change happens with the democratic government. But I believe in Pakistan, the policy change happens when a new army chief comes into power. The previous ones become better, the old ones go away. The point is, we have to decide, 20, 30 years, choose one direction, either that or that. You know, I repeat, and I would say this thing, for 10 years we were told certain people were horrible for this country. They were terrible. They looted, they ran away and did everything. We were told this thing again and again and again. And then a Messiah was created, right? Now, a year earlier, we were told that those who left away were great. They were great, and that Messiah was a false hero. Point is, let's decide on one thing, you know, and then stick to it.
And the human resource part, how Chinese developed that compared to West?
Sir, in what context?
We know that the Chinese have better human resource at the moment, quantity-wise also, quality-wise also. Even the West is tapping into the Chinese artificial intelligence.
No, sir, Ismina Kaifu Lee ki that book na is very important. It says that where Chinese have become really adept at being engineers, they're really good. But where they've been lacking is the innovator part. I think the innovation still belongs to Silicon Valley. The transformer model that everything is built on was by Google. The Jeffrey Hinton paper that defined AI came from the West, right? The Chinese, initially when we were growing up, we used to say, use Chinese product. You know, it's a sasti copy of something like that. They have moved from that. They become really good engineers. But I think, and Kai-Fu Lee himself says that the greatest innovations will still come from air. But in terms of replicating, and what Chinese have done is the discipline. Their discipline is matchless. Their work hours are matchless. They would work 80 hours a week. That's how, because it's a very authoritarian sort of a regime. They've been told this is what they have to do. So they're very good at producing things at large, and that's a very strong ability. But the ability, I don't see any major breakthrough innovation in AI first coming through China. We've seen all this GPTs that we're talking about. They've all been the products of the Silicon Valley.
So innovation is a product of freedom of thought
Yes.
and of freedom of
With that, I would like to request if we can now proceed to present the memento to Dr. Basit. Dr. Anil and Brigadier Rashid, I would request you to present the memento. Sorry. Vishail? Vishail? With that being said, we will now be opening our refreshments. Refreshments ka time aa gaya.